I'd like to call the Board of Health meeting to order at 4:32 on April 15th, 2025. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast by our local cable access channel, WCAT, Facebook, and YouTube. If anyone in the audience is recording, please let us know.
Second.
Okay. Irene is her name. She's not here yet, so we'll skip to the next. Trash station recording regarding familiarizing residents with our transfer station. That we have to sit down and develop a dialogue for, and then review it and set it up with Travis.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm?
Right here.
I'm like, you guys, it's been a while, I haven't seen you guys.
You're Irene?
Yes.
Okay. We are recording it. FYI.
So, we have to sit down with
Travis.
Travis and figure out when we wanna go out and do this, and then, ahead of time, we should go out there, take a look around and create
An actual.
somewhat a dialogue to go with this.
I think that'd be super easy. We could just go through all the steps and kind of follow the previous video that
Yeah.
was posted that Irene actually sent to us.
Yeah,
You would kind of want to make it that as someone actually doing it, like dumping into this bin, dumping in.
you're
It
gonna
doesn't
have,
have
you're
to
gonna.
be that,
show.
the shorter the better. I think the one I gave you from Westboro, I think
Yeah.
it's just a tad long. I think I use like 7 to 10 minutes. I'd prefer 2 to 5 minutes because people's attention spans are so low. But you can just kind of like walk through and just say, trash here, container, recyclables here, this is who you meet. And just like walk around.
It's kind of set up as like a circle in a
Yeah.
park, and then there's a bin for cans and plastic.
But some people that haven't been there
trash.
before always are
Yeah,
a little anxious, like, I don't think I wanna go, but if they see it on the website and somebody like showing them around quick,
Yeah.
and be like, oh, I can get a sticker, I can do that would save a lot of money. But everybody's always like, oh, so those videos I think are really great.
Yeah.
And the local cable, I don't know if you have one in the area, but they are really good, and I was really impressed with Westboro's. The
Yeah,
chair of
you
the
can
Board of
see
Health went and they were able to like add in like where you get the bags, where do you get your sticker, who to talk to if you have questions, and then they had music behind it. It was really well done, and they can do it really easy. And I think because it's your local cable, they can do it free. And that's
Yeah,
yeah.
so. And you
You
can,
kind of make it like a meeting. They do all our meetings and they put them on YouTube and everything.
yeah, and
so-
then you have the YouTube, and then you can put that link anywhere. You can kind of put it out once a year. You can put it on, give it to the seniors. You can give it to other groups and be like, hey, you
Yeah,
can use the transfer station.
keep presenting it.
Because we're just a little low on how many people are using the transfer
It's-
station. That's why we need to get
And
the,
it seems like
follow regulations going.
it's every June, I think it's every June they start selling new landfill permits. So
Mhm.
that would need
Yeah.
time to push it.
yeah, so right before it, it was like, hey, 'cause
Yep.
everybody's costs are going up so much, and then when people really think about it, Spencer did that a long time ago, and I thought that was just a great idea, and I'd recommend for every town of like a little sales pitch of the transfer station, not only how to use it, but this is the sticker, this is the bags. On average, you do about 2 bags a week, if that, some people only come once every other week. And you're like, this is the cost. How much are you paying curbside? And it's like $600 a year they're paying for curbside, and they don't realize that. And they're like, well, what do you do with your metal? What do you do with your electronics? What do you do with your bulky items? Oh, I gotta pay more for that. It's just like, well, it's here. You can come here and get rid of it every week.
Yep.
So it's a great deal, and we're not selling, I have 75 communities, and we're just not doing a good job of selling our great programs. Because we're always
Yeah,
so
'cause
busy for other things, we just don't get to that.
More and more people are actually getting that, the barrels. I see them popping up, new
yeah,
people.
and I
that-
have
that
had
do a
discussions with Travis already about doing this, and he has no problem doing it, as long as we just have to pick out a date, time to go ahead and do it, so.
I hope that next Tuesday is America Recycles Day, April 22nd, just.
Yeah, at this time of the year, they've got Earth Day and all that time cleanups and.
Yep. And I think
So,
I posted that
promoting
before, when you're doing
the-
your cleanups, also give them just the flyer that you normally do for the transfer station, so that they can pass it around. So that's a new requirement that just came up for RDP, is you have and you guys might not be organizing, it might be another organization that's organizing in town the cleanup. So you just give them the flyers and just say, have that at the table when people are getting their bags. It's just educating the volunteers that you have trash and recycling at the transfer station. Because sometimes they don't know. You know, they're helping in town and they're like, I haven't even been over there. I'm like, how long have
Yeah.
you lived in town and you don't know? But, so that's a new requirement, not a new requirement, but a new thing you can get more money from if you
Yeah.
have it.
So we'll sit down, create a dialogue,
Yeah.
and then just do it. Because it's not that difficult to do.
No.
All right?
Yeah, like I said, within the next couple of weeks would be good to get it out
Yeah.
before this next round of people buying permits and stuff.
Yep.
And the weather is good besides like right now. It was beautiful a moment ago and now it just, the
Well, we were
sky is
supposed to
opened up.
have a town cleanup week this week too, and pick up trash, volunteers are gonna do roadside cleanup.
Well, I
And
heard
of
this
course, it
weekend.
snowed 3 inches, so,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 inches in places.
Mm.
So
Yep.
we lost that opportunity, so it's very changeable.
But it went quick and thank
Yes.
goodness it melted. I was-
Okay, shall we jump back up to the first one?
Yeah, let's go back to-
Irene Congdon, Central Mass Municipal Assistance Coordinator, discussion and update of trash hauler regulations.
Yes, that's me.
That's right, could you please step up to the podium?
Sure. Good afternoon here, and I don't know if it's on. You want me to put it
Yeah,
on?
it's on.
Okay. Thank you for having me today. Yes, your hauler regulations, I think we did in 2007, 2008, and it's time to get updated. So we have in place with the Recycling Dividend Grant Program, 2 ways we can get more grant money if you update your hauler regulations. So we got a financial incentive to, let's do the update. And June 2nd is the deadline for the Recycling Dividend Grant. And if you are less than 50% of the population, households using the transfer station, you currently get, like, it's a point program. I don't know if Jess told you, you get a point for each item that you do for waste reduction. And right now, you get 5 points for having a pay-as-you-throw program. And if you have less than 50% of the households participating, you're going to be pushed down to 4 points. So that's a $600 reduction. The other is, so if we do the hauler regulations, you go back to the 5. We also have a spot, you get a point for just approving the hauler regulations. So just by approving it, we give you another $600. So you can get $1,200 more just by approving the grant, approving your updated hauler regulations. It was like perfect. It was 70 degrees about 10 minutes ago. And now, boom, the sky is opening. If you enforce the hauler regulations, that actually gives you 3 points. So it's just making sure that the haulers are following the rules and making sure you give out letters, and we can give you 3 points. So because you're just we're talking about approving it now, it'll probably be next year, you can actually get 3 points, and each point $600. So that would help the town and you guys to help keep enforcement going. The updated hauler regulations, it's in 3 parts. One is we have had waistband laws in place since 1990. That is, you can't be throwing out cardboard, you can't be throwing out tires on the side of the road or in the dumpster, you can't be just throwing metal anywhere. So we have the list. In 2022, we added mattresses and textiles to that list, so everybody was talking about those. But we've had the big list going, and especially cardboard, for a long time. And there are still some households that don't have a recycling container. They get a trash, but they don't have recycling. You have some multifamily units that get a dumpster, or a business that gets a dumpster. They don't have another one for recycling. And it's like, we've had cardboard in place since 1990. It is time, everybody has to follow the waistband laws. And so the first thing is just mandatory, you're following the waistband laws, mandatory recycling for all generators. You have a transfer station, it makes it very easy. People could go there. I think you even have a day pass, if I remember right.
No,
No?
we don't. It was something we were
Discussing a
Possibly,
possibility,
yeah,
I
we
think,
could talk about.
is that there might be residents and businesses that would be just like, hey, I don't want to go there all the time because I do have a dumpster, but I would like to go there once in a while. So that might be something to add in. So mandatory recycling, follow the waistband laws is the first requirement. The second one is bundled pricing. So you kind of see it with some of the haulers that have the carts on the side of the road. They'll have one cart and two carts, one for trash, one for recycling. That's what we want to see, and they give one bundled price. The trash and recycling is the service, and then they give one price. So we don't want one hauler to just say, oh, this is the trash container. Oh, you want a recycling container? Then you have to pay X amount more.
Yeah, we've run into that a couple of times already.
Yeah, so because we're trying to level the playing field, because then they just go to another hauler that's not providing the service, and it's just like, well, now the hauler is making that household not following the waste ban laws. So we want bundled service for residential. And then the third part is bundled service for commercial. But then there's an exemption for commercial, that if it's a large enough thing that's a supermarket, or if it's a bigger store and they have a lot of cardboard, they might be bailing it or having their own back hauling of their recyclables, so then they don't need to pay a bundled service. So it's just those three parts. Why now? Not only is the grant, but in 5 years, we are expecting no more landfills in Massachusetts. So they are on their way. They already have their deadlines of when they're closing. Really, Western Mass here is, there is no more waste energy facilities or landfills. This is a very hard thing in Western Mass. For Central Mass, I have the Wheelabrator facility and the Fitchburg landfill, and they're about 50% each of taking all the trash. The Fitchburg landfill is expected to close by 2032, and it's already on a decline of how much they're taking. So when that closes, we're going to be in big trouble. Right now, we're having 30% of all Massachusetts trash is leaving the state, going to Ohio and Alabama on a regular basis. So I'm expecting 70% will go in 2030 out of state if we don't keep on helping residents to reduce their trash. And so that's the goal of this whole thing. Is my goal and the state goal is to keep on saying, hey, let's get the recyclables out of the trash. And so if we have people that have dumpsters or people that have private subscription not recycling, don't have that access, then they're throwing out recyclables. So that's the goal that we're doing. And so it's for you guys. You already have a good hauler regulation. Like I said, I think we did it in 2008. We just didn't add commercial. And maybe our mandatory was like shall, or it wasn't as strong. And so that's what we have. We did in 2018 a whole statewide program on the hauler regulations. We went into the best practices document. So we hired a consultant firm to say, hey, we have this town that has a 1-pager, this town has a 22-pager, some have this language, some have that language. Can we have a unified best practice document? And so that's what they gave us. And we did a road show all over, went to Harvey's and had all the small haulers go there, and we did it around the state, a couple different places, being like, hey, this is the language, do you have any questions? And that's where they really pushed in for the mandatory recycling, because they were like, the condo association is going to say no, and what are we going to tell them? And it's just like, the town has mandatory recycling, and the Board of Health would just give them a letter and say, this is our regulation, you need to have
Well,
recycling.
that could easily be put on the permits. When they build, you are required. per
Right,
state.
it's just to share that we have the waste ban laws, and the town is also enforcing the waste ban, is the hauler regulations.
Okay, now, would that cover construction materials too?
C&D already doesn't go to a landfill, it has to go to a C&D facility where it is already being separated.
Yeah, I know there's one down in Plainville, Connecticut. I'm not sure of any.
I think you have the one in Ware,
Where?
yep. And I think and I forget if Casella is still going, but I think that we still have the one in Oxford to drop off for construction demolition material for Casella. So there are a few places people can go with construction stuff, but this is really for the household stuff.
Yep.
Yep. Any questions? So typically, a town just reviews it, the Board of Health reviews it, has an open hearing, and then votes on it. And you tell your haulers, hey, we're discussing of updating our hauler regulations, here's our draft, and if you have any questions, come to the public hearing. And we just did that in Ashby, and for a small town, and for the couple small haulers did show up, and they're like, that's what it is. It's just, we've been talking about this, and yes.
So should we share this with our current?
Yeah, you
Haulers?
can do that. You can look at it if you have any questions. I mean, this is the best practice document. But if you want to change things, if there was something in your old one that you liked that's missing in there, I did also, I think I shared you the best practices, accounting, a form that the haulers fill out.
Yes, we can.
So that has like, just to say, hey, are you doing education? So some things have been added in there to be, that follow, because not all the times we have the hauler regulations, but do the haulers actually read them? But they do read, the thing they have to fill out every year. So then it's like in there, are you following the waistbands? Do you have problems with
So
all?
we'd have to get them to actually probably sign it, that they.
Yeah, so
endorse.
Yeah.
every year we
Yes.
send off renewals for the
that's
trash
part of it.
haulers. They
Okay.
send in all the truck information,
Yep.
and yeah, so there's a new
Okay.
updated form that she provided to me
Okay.
that I'll send out to them. Yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Any questions?
so the next step is a hearing for them to approve it.
Yep.
Yeah, hearing for the select board, and then,
It doesn't have to be unless you have different laws. Is right now, Board of Health hauler regulations normally just go through the Board of Health. It's up to you. I don't think your last one was done through Select Board. I think that was just
Okay.
done through the Board of Health unless things have changed.
we can check and see if it's
Yeah.
changed or not. If it hasn't changed, then we can just go ahead and enact it.
Okay. And what is the time frame?
Time frame, if you want to get the extra 2 points, we want to do it before June 2nd.
Okay.
So we can do it.
So,
after that.
I just was in the town of Ashburnham last night, and they're also in this situation, so they're like, okay, May 3rd, next meeting, we're doing the public hearing. And, like I said, Ashby just got theirs. I just had Rutland just finished theirs, they said a month ago. So a lot of communities are updating them because it's just time and they want the extra
Yeah.
points.
Perfect, yeah, we will.
Yeah, so we'd say next meeting, we'll probably do the part, the hearing.
Perfect. Do you need to come to the hearing also?
I don't.
or- Okay.
No. But I did love this drive. It has been, because normally I take the long route through Worcester, and this, because it was daylight, because I normally would come at night, so I'm glad the time frame changed, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I've been here 20 years, and I haven't gone through this road before.
Welcome to town.
No, I've been here, but I have not, I normally take the long way around, and the GPS took me through Rutland and North Brookfield, and I'm like, okay, I just haven't gone that way. I like just go to their towns and back. I haven't gone the back way.
Mhm.
I'm in Townsend, Mass, so I'm on the border with New Hampshire. So,
Yeah.
so-
They come down to
Yep.
the north.
yeah.
Okay,
So,
so we'll have a public hearing the next meeting,
Okay.
and then move on.
Perfect.
yeah, it's really simple. You're just updating.
Yep.
You know, you already have a hall of regulations.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
we're
just,
just
improving.
updating
We're
it.
just endorsing this. and,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
adding a few little edits.
Any other questions for
Nope,
RDP or anything else for grants? I don't know if there were, did we talk if there was anything else you needed? The grant has opened, so you could see it online, and I think
Yeah.
you've already been on there. If there was anything for bulky, drop-off items that, I know you work with Patrick, if there was I think a swap shed we were
Yeah.
talking about.
We have a swap shed.
And if, for mercury, were we discussing the mercury? I think that was an issue that we were talking
Yeah.
about.
I don't remember. I didn't
Fluorescent bulbs and batteries.
fluorescent bulbs, batteries, CRTs, stuff like that.
Yeah, is that in there now, or
It's
forget
in
it.
Here,
it's at the transfer station? Right.
we have a CRT, we do take
You took the electronics,
the electronics, yes,
But-
not the CRTs.
but not the batteries or bulbs? So
No.
that is something we said to talk to Patrick about,
Okay.
because that one, it is or no requirement to have mercury collection. It's called Universal Waste Shed, and I think didn't we get that? I thought we were talking about
We
that
have
grant.
universal waste for petroleum products. which is hazardous waste.
Yeah, this is, if it's universal waste shed for batteries, bulbs, fluorescent bulbs, thermometers and thermostats. So just those kinds of things that people have in their house to have a place to take. And Patrick should be able to provide that, you know, and it's, could just be a call to, the Wiro office to say you're updating a collection. But I would talk to him now to see if that could possibly get in before June 2nd. He could just have a separate area that would just be collecting that.
Now, would they have to collect it all the time, every day?
He could just do it once a
Or-
month if he wanted.
Okay.
He doesn't have to be collected all the time. But we do have a grant if he needs a new container. So we could apply, you could apply for that. It's under the drop-off equipment. Also, if you need a new compactor for cardboard, there's some
I
things.
was down there the other day looking at that stuff, and I'm thinking that we need a
So
couple
they-
of new containers.
Yeah, so some things, I mean, especially, I know, to keep his costs down, you know, if he has it, that it's there all the time, or if it's newer, we do have these grants that are available, so I don't know if it's showing him the RDP, what's offered for drop-off. I have that, it's on DEP's website. You could share that with him, or just give him a call and be like, okay, I'm on the grant page, do you want this? And can we get this there? And if this would help you. But the universal waste shed, if you don't need this shed, but we need to have at least the collection of it
Okay.
kind of set up so I can give you those
Let
2
me double
points.
check down, I know we have a universal waste shed for
Yeah.
oil.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether it includes the batteries or light bulbs, though.
Okay.
But I know we have one for
I think
minimum.
it's just the oil, and that's open like the first Saturday of the
Yeah,
month.
because they got the tank in there too, but I have seen batteries sitting on the side.
I was gonna say, they do
Yeah.
collect, I'm on the website, they collect the batteries, they collect fluorescent bulbs.
Yeah, so
that
you
would
do
all
have
be
it.
in that
Okay,
shed then.
During
Okay.
that,
good.
that timeframe.
Just keeping it collected. I'm doing more education on batteries. So Mass DP just did a big thing, and also for the fire department to be aware of all the stuff that's going on with batteries. I just did a big education on just putting tape down and having people put tape on their button cell batteries, and then just put a little tape on the top of the plus, so on the positive side,
Yep.
just so we don't have connection going on. So.
Do have, when it comes to batteries, I know a lot of people will get rid of car batteries or anything else, but now with these new types of batteries, the
EVs and all this
AVs
stuff.
and lithiums, are those just the same as car batteries, or are those gonna be separate?
I would keep them separate. Yeah, I would keep them separate, but yeah, we have to still collect them. We have more educations coming through, and as of right now, the state of Massachusetts and town in New Hampshire just signed a battery bill. This is like incredible. New Hampshire doesn't normally sign anything. And they just signed a battery bill. And Massachusetts, even yesterday, had a meeting to discuss EPP, Extended Producer Responsibility. So when the people that sell the batteries need to start helping to pay back for this
Waste
recycling of the batteries so that we can get them safely, not in the trash, not in the recycling bin, but separated. And so that seems to be moving in a direction.
Yeah,
So
'cause now, you're getting into the lithium batteries, you're getting into the solar batteries, you're getting into all different types
yeah, they're getting bike batteries and things like
that
that.
are a little bit different than your standard lead-acid batteries.
Yes. And just even the small batteries, we want to just make
Yeah.
sure everything is not touching. That's, I think the biggest thing is we don't want these. So to have tape, sometimes having education, if you talk to Patrick, that to have education there, QR codes that people could take their phone and be
Maybe we can
aware
make
of what's
another
going on.
little Blurb on the end of the video, safely
Yeah,
disposing batteries.
Absolutely, yep.
That'd be-
I just got another link today, but I will share with you, I think I did just of the whole program that we had on batteries.
Okay,
But we have some other education I can share that with.
excellent, yeah.
And really the easiest is put tape on the positive sides. I think that's just the easiest, whatever kind of tape you could use. Clear tape works fine because you just have so much of those packaging tapes. But if they want to use the
I would
black
say,
tape.
though, just to make a note, if you're using tape, stay away from the original duct tape, because it's made with metal. And
Yeah, we don't want to have the sections coming together. That is just do the
Right.
positive bits.
just do the Scotch tape or packaging tape, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the biggest issue right now, and hopefully we're gonna get a state plan on it. So we do have the fire department working with the state now, so this is good.
Okay.
Alright.
While she's here, do you want to kind of jump the agenda item and talk about the RDP grant funding that we have on here?
Let's see, where's that?
Yeah, I want you to spend your money. Please
Okay.
spend money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
RDP
move
grant.
down. if-
Down to the RDP grant, yeah, might as well jump there.
Yeah, because I've been talking about it. Because I forget how much money you do have.
We have $19,851.
Yep. So you're gonna do that, education thing. You could also then have a mailer that goes out to all the households, like when you're doing, when the date's coming to renew, to get your new sticker. You can then say, hey, we're gonna use this grant money to do a mailer out to all the households. Like, hey, this is it, and if you want the link, here's the link on the bottom, of how to do that. We have recyclesmartma.org that has like what can be recycled, and that also helps. And we want people, when you're doing any education, say pizza boxes are recyclable. So when you talked about batteries, add the next thing, pizza boxes are recyclable. Because people don't believe it. There's some old information still out there.
I heard,
Yeah,
Thought
food
that
boxes
was-
and containers are non-recyclable.
Even if it has grease, it's okay.
okay, pizza
Yeah.
boxes are.
Yeah, because we kind of said no pizza boxes when only 25% of Massachusetts waste was going all the way to China before 2018. And so imagine a pizza box and a whole thing of cardboard or newspapers and taking a boat trip around South America. By the time it passed South America, it was a little ripe. So now when the trip is only in New England, it's okay. The grease is okay. It's going right into the vat, and it's no problem. So so pizza boxes, we want to get that word out of yes.
So is there like a website we can put on, town website, a link?
Yeah, I think you already have that.
Smart
all.
on there.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have to have the 3 parts, and I forget if you had the absolute 3. So it's the Recycle Smart MA, it's the widget of Recycle Smart MA.
Oh, I don't know if I.
The widget is the Recyclopedia, so it's just like a little box that you can put in there like cups. You can put over 700 items in there and say, is that cup really recyclable? And it'll be like, if it's a glass cup, I'm sorry, a glass drinking bottle is different than a cup. So you can reuse it, but you cannot put it in the recycling bin. But it would say, like, if it's a clear cup, like from Dunkin' Donuts, that's okay. But if it's a red cup, it goes into that
Yeah.
specific stuff. So our basic education is very easy. If you can rip it, if it has a lid, container, you can recycle it. But
So
if
actually,
it's,
I'm actually looking on
Yeah.
the website, there's like a quiz.
yeah,
You get different kinds of,
I can link that to
yeah.
the page.
yeah, the quiz is great, but it's the
Oh, yeah.
Recyclopedia on the top. It's just like a little box. And so we ask that that widget be attached to your own website, so then people always just ask,
Okay.
well, what about the pen? And you're like, no pen. You can actually bring it back to Staples, and they'll take old pens and markers and things like that. But we don't want that in the recycling bin. So it goes into over 700 items. It's amazing. The other is Beyond the Bin, and that should also include all the stuff that you take at the transfer station. So we do have that as a requirement. So everything that you do take should be in the Beyond the Bin. And so everybody's been populating it themselves, which is great. So now we get a better picture of like, where can I take metal? Where can I take electronics? Where can I take this? So that's why it would be nice if all places are open. Like I know non-residents can come to the Warren transfer station But they don't always have the day pass, so that might be something to think about, is a day pass, that if people have, because I think we're at like 44%, I think, that 44% of the town using the transfer station, so you have, 56% that are not, so they're using they're using curbside, but they're moving, they have to clean house, they have metal and electronics and everything like that to use the transfer station. And then they might fall in love with it and then be like, okay, now I'll come over. You can use the grant money for various stuff. So, yes, you have it here and it can help with the transfer station costs, it can help with education. You can help it to make more money, so buying compost bins, like I think you've done in the past, that helps get you more money by selling compost bins. You can help the schools have update their dishwashers. So if their dishwasher needs a repair or they need a new dishwasher, and that actually could help you get more grant money. So you can use the RDP money to help get you even more money the next year. If you're testing out products that are on the state contract, you can use that. So there is a long list of what you can use the grant money for. If you're still on a Recycle Smart MA, on the bottom, there are some great videos there to show where Patrick takes the recyclables is to the MRF. I think he takes it to the Springfield MRF, or I forget exactly. And you can see conveyor belts of where everything goes.
Yeah, I went to a recycling place down
Auburn,
yeah,
so to Casella's MRF.
yeah, and I walked through that place and I went through all the conveyors and everything else, and
Everything's moving. Yep.
I know we were talking about Household Hazardous Waste Day. And
yeah.
I've had a really hard time contacting some companies to
Have a day.
start the process and have a day. And I don't know if that's anything that you can assist us in. And
I can give you just the list of the current haul and color. We have state contracted hazardous waste companies, and then there's a few that are not on state contracts. So I can give you what other towns have done. The other thing is North Brookfield normally has done a regional one, and you can kind of maybe economies of scale work with them. I don't know if also Palmer or somebody.
Kind of kicking around here too was to maybe see if we can get a regional one going.
Yeah. It is always a good thing to have people available. And it's just telling people if they're moving right now, it's NEDT is like, you're like in the middle, I think, of one that's on the other side of Springfield and the other one that's in Sutton. So you're like right in the middle of it. But people, every zip code has gone there to take care of their hazardous materials.
to North Brookfield.
Sutton to NEDT. But North Brookfield, they normally do the last weekend in September. That's kind of been their date for decades. And they do already have a group, and I think Warren has participated in the past, but I don't know how many households were educated about the date, So I think you can talk to North Brookfield. I can do an email to say, hey, what do you have a date? Because sometimes that has been an issue for them too, is can we get the company to give us a date? But if you have more economies of scale.
Yeah.
I do find like we have in Devens, 12 communities go to just Devens, and I'm always surprised of how many people do show up, and they do. And I think not only do they pick a straight time, like this is our date, so you kind of remember it, but they advertise it through social media, they advertise it through lawn signs. So each town gets like 2 to 4 lawn signs, and that has helped. So that could be a way of just getting the word out and going there. But it is a cost, and you can definitely use it for your own. You can use the RDP money to pay for that. And if you can get your own, I'd say it's kind of nice to have your own at least once every other year. But
Yeah.
it's always hard with time.
Yeah, I've been having quite a few residents ask for.
Yeah.
Well, that, and they're also, a lot of people are not wanting to pay the fees for electronics at the dump because it's kind of on the high side, or at the transfer station.
You can use your RDP money to subsidize that. So if you wanted to have, if you don't want to make it a regular thing, maybe you can have an amnesty day, or or a half off or something like that. You'll say springtime, spring cleaning, fall cleanup or something. We're gonna use our RDP money to pay the electronics. And maybe that could be part of the,
Yeah, because we're finding more and more of that along the side of the road.
so that might be a good way to reduce that cost. I mean, you can talk, depending on how much money, you can
Yeah.
talk to Patrick about that and be like,
would be,
how much is that bill,
think
you
that's
know?
enough.
If we just paid the whole thing, what would that be?
yeah,
Or if you could bring it down to $5. If you say $5 a piece,
$5
what could we pay the rest? And you could use your RDP money to pay that,
okay,
and that might help you out a lot. And if you said,
It might entice people to use the facility,
Right.
come and see it. And
right, and then that's why if you had a day pass and then you say, hey, now we're giving just $5 for any electronics, and we're using our state grant to pay for the remainder of that. So you can talk to him about that.
yeah, that would be great.
And yeah, because people do, it multiplies, but I keep on feeling like we're getting closer of the electronics are getting smaller and smaller. But if you haven't had a big clean out in a
Smaller
while,
and smaller, but bigger and bigger.
more of them, like each room has 6 of them.
Yeah, 6 75-inch monitors. Really?
And as time goes on, people are gonna be getting rid of more things with batteries and stuff, and it's gonna have to be a lot more education of that.
Yeah,
Different size computers, to phones, to everything.
exactly. And that's what I'm here to help. So Jessica is always welcome to
Yeah.
call and email, and I can come down here when you need me. But you're doing good. I'm so glad. We were just talking. I just looked at a form and I was like, you guys did not have pay as you throw, and one of the things that it failed, and now you guys been so successful for all these years. So you've increased your waste reduction. And now it's just making sure we get more people aware of the wonderful transfer station that you have.
For 5 years.
No, in 5 years, that's when the landfills are closing, so then more people will come. So you want to make sure you're all
Yeah, but what are you
efficient.
gonna do
And
with everything that's going from the transfer station then?
it'll still cost for disposal, but all the recyclables will have a home. They'll have other places that they're going to.
Yeah, everything else went to.
Yeah, so if we do a waste characterization of every 3 years of what's still in the trash. So there's a big one at Millbury, and I have that graph, and I don't know if you've seen that graph, but of the 100% of the trash that's going to Wheelabrator, they do over 60 categories when they do this waste characterization, and I moved it to 7 of what a municipality is. So what's the basic recyclables, paper, containers, and things like that. It's still just 12%, so we've done really good of shrinking that. And it's 30% is food waste. So that's a thing. You guys sell the compost bins, which is great, and just getting people aware of that. So if we can keep on eating that up so it's not in the trash. And then it's the clothes. People have 70 pounds per person is still being thrown out. And it's just go that way, there's a clothing bin. Go that way, there's a clothing bin. Go that way, there's a clothing bin. But people think it has to be pristine. And it's it's okay if it has rips. It's okay if it has stains. It's okay if it has holes. We want the pillows and the blankets and anything textiles.
Anything clothing.
Anything
We have,
textiles.
Out back, we have those bins.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't think of the old shoes or the gloves or the
handbags,
belts and the handbags and
Yeah.
backpacks and there's all these things that we have stuffed animals that are textile, that are material, and it's just all of that can be, because what they'll do is if it's good, it'll be right on the shelves, but if it's not, they will,
Recycle it.
they sell it by pound. So it's a great thing, and we just want to get that out of the trash. And the wonderful thing about the charm, there's still a lot of charm stuff. People that don't have access are throwing out their metal, their wood, their bulky items, and dumpsters and stuff like that. If we can get them to use the transfer station or have recycling through the hollow regulations, then we're reducing that pie. So so right now in Wheelabrator, only 30% I consider is real trash. And if we could cut out
Another,
that 62% out, that would be wonderful. And that could help the state dramatically. So that's why I'm going each town by town to let us go pay as you throw. Let's update hollow regulations. Let's keep the education going and get some more grant money so that can feed into it.
Mhm.
So thank you guys for your time. And if
Thank you so much.
something
thank
else
you
comes up,
for helping
Thank you.
us.
anytime.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Appreciate
You
it.
too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, animal inspector updates. We have a new animal inspector on board finally,
Yeah,
Yes.
and his name is
Ryan Davis.
Ryan Davis, who's already been out on his first raccoon call.
Yes, yes.
And he's open to other options as well. So he's gonna be going around assisting and helping out
Animal control,
animal control.
Tammy.
Tammy with the animal control also. So if there's any issues with the animal inspections, you can get ahold of Ryan Davis. He's got a number now, right?
He's got an email too.
Yeah,
He's got an
we're
email.
gonna focus on the email for
Yep.
right now,
Yep.
but I believe through the, agricultural website, he'll probably be listed on there.
Okay. All right. Next one on the agenda is Village Market update. So Village Market has their permit in hand and is operational currently. They are due for their ice cream, dairy,
Frozen,
frozen
frozen
foods
foods on that, right?
For May 1st.
for May 1st. And we got something from her today, something about,
Request of, selling individual cakes,
cupcakes.
through, Restaurant Depot. So pre-sliced cakes, not at a consistent, weekly order. It depends on what she wants, and, to what she gets and so forth. So it's nothing consistent, but she, is requesting if she can sell them. I put in, she also CC'd the alternate health inspector, Paulina, to get her input on that. But if we can move forward with allowing her
I think we can.
that.
I mean,
Okay.
it's prepackaged, it's pre-made, it's pre-sliced,
Excellent.
so.
And then the other request is if you guys approve the soft serve frozen dessert permit that she previously requested, and for her to start on May 1st.
Or in April right now, that's next month,
2 weeks away, yeah.
yeah. She was approved for it, did we get the final on the machine on that?
What do you mean?
Paulina's final inspection on the machine?
I believe that was gonna be,
Believe she really
done.
inspected it because it wasn't up and running, nothing
Yeah.
was, she was gonna have to come back. to-
Yeah, so we have to
Yeah.
wait for that to do, final.
okay,
So it's almost like you need a pre-inspection.
Yeah, before you go into
Correct.
operation.
okay.
So
So-
she would have to order the product probably.
Order the product, bring it in, the machine should be ready for the inspection.
Yep.
So when we go into the inspection, it's all said and done, and then issue the permit after that.
Okay.
Okay. Next one is vote to approve the memo request to reimburse $120 to Jim Dusty. And that was for the, sauces and
Cottage food permit, yeah.
cottage food permit that they applied for. We do, however, have a no refund policy in place.
And also the fact is, we did spend time and the inspector spent time starting to evaluate it, so
Yeah.
there was some effort on our part put into that. But as you just said, there,
There's already, it's stated right on the permit, I believe, that no refunds. Am I wrong, Jessica?
On the application, no, but on our fee schedule, I believe.
Which is
Take
right
a look.
here.
Food establishment, one I would have to bring up, let me check really quick. Says submit appropriate fees.
Well, we had that posted on the permit.
do remember seeing it, like, somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere, I don't have it on this, food establishment application. Believe. I have on the website, permits are non-refundable.
Okay. I know it was somewhere,
Yeah, it's
but I
definitely
think
on the
what we need to do,
website,
make
but
it clear, is put it on the fee schedule also.
on the fee schedule.
Yeah.
We'd be under the perm,
Is it- Yeah, no cost, no show is considered forfeit of fees, but that's Title V stuff,
Right.
so, yeah, we can, if that's what you're requesting, we can add it to the fee
Yeah, I
schedule
think we should
too.
add it there.
Okay.
It's already on the website.
Yes,
Okay, so I can't. They applied for the permit, didn't get it. I don't think there should be a refund. So. I'm gonna have to deny it, it's already been posted, we can't go back on. We can't give it out after we've already posted that it's non-refundable. So I'm gonna deny that request. And I'm gonna ask for support on that, by asking for a second.
I second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Motion made, motion carried to deny the request for refunding $120 to Jim Dusty. And then we're gonna make sure that they get included on all the other documentation. And then on the permits also, any future permits going out, that should be right on the permit.
okay.
Should it be on every single
Every single permit.
permit that we,
Yep,
from septic to everything?
yep, all of them.
Okay. Because I know we had a couple other issues here too.
Mm-hmm. All right, next one, discussion right to farm law. Yeah, I gave you a copy of it. I've spent time on this. I brought this up a little bit over a year ago and brought it before the select board, and they had questions on the intent, and does it cover this, and does it cover that, or what happens about this, and what happens about that. And after doing a bunch of research and talking to different people and different people who actually run this program at the state level, this really has gone to other communities, and by looking at other communities also, every program that's out there for Right to Farm is an exact copy and duplicate of the state requirements, word for word. So they don't vary in any what if and or buts can you come up with here. Is this community a little bit different from another community? Obviously they are, but this applies to protection for people who have farms against nuisance requests or nuisance violations filed by other people who don't like farms. So if you're buying a property in a neighborhood where there's a farm, and all of a sudden you decide that the chicken crows too early in the morning, or the pigs stink too much, or the tractor's too slow in the road, all those are considered nuisance complaints against the farm, and therefore there should be protections in the law that allow the farm to exist. Because they moved in, they're coming in from an outside community and they're not used to farm life, doesn't mean it's a violation against the farmer. That's what their general scope and purpose of is, to run a farm, and you do have smells, noises, and everything coming from farm life that a farm does in its daily operation, produces in its daily operation. And that's what this law does. It protects the farmer as long as he's not exceeding his authority as a farmer, like, let's say, allowing his animals to cross over into the next person's property. Okay, or violating any of the other, you're not keeping the farm clean, or you're not keeping this, you're not doing anything by health standards. That's what this does. So I think it's something that we need to move on to, again, bring it to the select board, and have them go over it again, and then take a vote on whether we're gonna move forward with it or not. It's pretty self-explanatory, and it gives you a list of activities, what farming includes. So this is what it includes. Anything outside of the scope of farming would be considered a violation that can stand. Somebody had a complaint on anything that is outside of the normal activities on a farm, then they would have a valid complaint. Other than that, it's non-valid, and it's just, sorry, you moved into the area, you need to expect this, that's what it is. Okay? So it does give a list of definitions. It does give right to farm declaration and a disclosure notification. Okay, and the only thing that we would really have to do is set up a program where we have resolution disputes. How do we resolve it? Okay. And that's basically through the select board, zoning enforcement officer, and the Board of Health. It can all be dumped into the Board of Health's lap if necessary. Okay. And then there's nothing in here that would condemn anybody or condemn the town itself or anything for any liability issues. So it's a pretty standard document from the state. And like I says, every other community that's around us that has the right to farm bylaw in existence, it's a carbon copy from one town to the next town, to the next town, to the next town. So there's no difference in,
It's just, its point is to mainly protect the,
right, to
Protect the
stop
farm
the
that was there
nuisance
first.
complaints. Yep. And if there are valid complaints, then we address the valid complaints. So,
and it would have this available to present to someone if they don't quite understand.
mhm.
If they come in,
Yeah, so my move is to make this available or have it on the agenda for the fall special meeting.
So it has to be adopted at a,
Select meeting and then
Town
reviewed by
meeting.
by the lawyer, legal,
okay.
which I don't see why it wouldn't pass legal because it's a state program.
They
And then,
must have-
yeah, voted on
They
at
must
a
have
town
passed
meeting.
numerous other
Yeah.
towns, surrounding towns.
Mhm. So, my next thing is to get it on the agenda for the select board, as long as we approve it here,
Yeah, definitely for it.
okay? So I'll take a vote count of moving this to the select board, presenting to them for review. And I'll vote yes.
Yes, Jack
Okay.
can.
So motion made, motion carried, move it to the select board. Okay. Okay, next one, discussion about fines and fees within the Board of Health. As selectmen are looking to see if we need to increase or add new fines townwide. So looking at our current permit program, we did go back, I think it was last year, or the year before, and we looked at all the permit fees.
Mm.
And we increased and decreased as we needed to, according to surrounding communities. What we didn't do was look at the violation fees or fines. So I think what we need to do is take a look at them. And like, first one here, food reinspection for violations on a first offense, we've got a $50 fine. Well, that's fine, it's been here on paperwork for a while, but it's never been enforced. So it needs to be enforced by the health inspector
Mhm.
on each job. And, you know, you get the second violation,
So
for
is
second
the-
offense,
is the health,
$75.
in this case, is the health inspector making this and then bringing it to us?
Yes,
Okay, making the determination.
yes.
Okay.
So if there are violations, there should be a first offense violation, second offense violation.
They seem a bit low. I don't,
I think they are
Those two.
kind of low myself. So I would be willing to double the inspection, I mean, the offense
I would say at least,
first and second from 50 to 100,
yeah.
and from 75 to 150. And that's on food re-inspections. We don't have,
Do we have any kind of regulations on septic or anything?
For
No one
fines,
gets permits
it's
or?
either just approved or denied type of
Okay,
thing
Yeah.
is my understanding.
doesn't seem that.
I do think though, if for whatever reason, when it comes to the septic or the perk tests or anything like that, if there's an appointment made and the inspector or the agent doesn't show up, which has already happened in the past, I don't think that the person who is doing the inspecting should be able to collect a fee. Because they're the ones that blew it.
Even if they're rescheduled,
Hmm?
even if there was, or if they ended up rescheduling?
If they ended up rescheduling and they missed the reschedule,
Mhm.
I don't think it's fair to the person who is on the other end to keep having to adjust their schedule for the inspector. So I don't think that the inspector should be collecting a fee for that.
Was there a certain time frame? you need to
I would
give?
say you do one reschedule, then you need to be there for the second.
You know, people are waiting for,
Yeah, people are waiting to move on this, and there are inspectors out there that just aren't meeting the requirements. So, I would say we limit it to one reschedule and that's it. If they can't do the next one,
And this is on the Title V.
Title V.
Agent side, like if a contractor or engineer needs to reschedule for any reason
Yeah,
prior to 24 hours, like, that's understandable.
mhm. But if it's on the agent side,
Yeah.
we should be more receptive than saying, having to reschedule 2 and 3 times. So we allow the inspector one, what's the word I want?
one chance,
One reschedule. After that, they can't collect the fee for the second.
So for one of the Title V agents, I have no idea when anything is scheduled, so that would be really hard for me to follow or implement when we do payroll.
Well, this is up
Through the
to,
grant.
this is just up
that's-
for discussion right now.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make sense of, because you've got people who are complaining that the inspector's not showing up and they're blowing them off and all this crap that we need to address. I don't think the inspector should be allowed to have more than one reschedule.
and then if that happens, it gets turned to the alternate or the next available inspector.
Yeah.
So how about we do something like that? If it, the second chance that they cancel, the next time it would go to the alternate? Something along those lines?
The grant is funding all of the perks and inspections for the alternate Title V agents. That's something to keep in mind too.
But if you're inspector, even if you're on a grant program, if you're an inspector and you're not showing up for a scheduled inspection, that you have an issue one time, I can see that and understand that, but I can't see 2 and 3 times rescheduling for the same person.
Just say that grant funded Title V agent has been very responsive and, available. So. you
Right,
know.
but the one that we're currently paying is on the other side of the coin. And
Very
where
hard
that's
to, very hard to get a hold of.
very hard to get a hold of, and right now, we also need to change the process. That everything that gets filed goes directly to the inspector, instead of coming through this office. So we really don't have privy to what's being inspected and what's not being inspected until we start getting phone calls of people not showing up.
Yeah, they do, there has been, or I should say, people have been submitting, the applications and permits as they need to be. It's just sometimes there's things that are scheduled prior to that document coming in. The document always ends up coming in.
So would I be remiss to say that we should have the document in hand before anything is done? Before any inspections proceed?
Are you going to make a motion to double the fees?
Yeah, I'm
for the
getting there.
fines? Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
sorry.
I'm just trying to weed through the back end of this. We don't have any issues with the plumbing and gas?
No.
Okay. All right, I make a motion to double the violation fees from $50 to $100 for first offense on food reinspection, and from $75 to $150 for a second offense on food inspections. I make a motion to bump it up to those figures, 100 and 150. Do I hear a second?
And I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion made, motion carried. I think everything else on here is in line with the fees that everybody else in the general area is charging.
I believe we went through them like a year
Yeah,
or
I
so
think it was
ago.
last year,
Just shortly after I got on,
yeah.
looked at all the fees.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, let's move on to the next.
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, complaints. 26 West Brookfield Road, continuous complaints. We'll make a motion to vote to move this to town council. And I hear there are other issues that are coming up with that now from across the street of 26 Old West Brookfield Road. With, for lack of a better term, squatters on the property. Can we check and see if that property is owned by 26, or is it owned somewhere else?
Separate?
It's separate?
Mhm.
Okay, so they are squatters. Then we need to look at maybe police presence and putting posted no trespassing sign by the, whoever owns that property. Because the police have to address it if it's posted. If it's not
Reach out.
posted, c'est la vie. So I think we need to talk with the chief.
And
And
the other
tenant.
thing, too, is this, if these people get permission from this property owner, or, like, that's unknown, right?
And it has to be written permission that they can prove to the police officers if it's posted, not just a verbal. And if it is, there's other issues. on that property right now where I can see what's going on there now with trash building up and blowing all over town, like across the street. So I think the sooner we jump on this and get a hold of, police chief, talk to him and get a hold of whoever owns that property and have them post it. No trespassing. Then we can have the police monitor it.
They're close by.
Yeah, I know. Can't miss it. Okay, moving on to 28.
No.
You didn't make a motion
Oh.
about if we wanna move that forward or not?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
we
want to
have-
make a motion to move 26 Old West Brookfield Road to the police department
What was it, town council?
and town council, yeah.
So we gotta move it to,
Town council, and
Town
then
council.
we'll address it with the PD after that.
Yep.
So I make a motion to move to town council. Do I hear a second?
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion is made, motion is carried. Next one is 28 Cottage Street. 28 Cottage Street is the one that's down behind the old mill complex?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought there were two properties there.
Yeah, I've been through there a couple times, and seems to be a lot of debris, trailers. There's probably at least 5 or 6 trailers just being ripped apart. Demo material all over the place.
You know,
Piles of
There was a
trash.
complaint, that's the one that had the complaint of wanting to burn?
Yeah, we've had about 3 complaints regarding that property, if not 4, and then an additional one requesting a burn permit separate. Chief of police handled that one, but we have had complaints regarding the debris around the property.
And they're not picking up their, Correction orders?
No, no.
can we have them delivered by a sheriff?
You'd like to, yes.
Let's move to that step and then we'll move it to legal. If that doesn't draw any attention, then we'll have to do legal. So I make a motion to move it, to get a delivery direct to the owner of the property or the renters. I think would be more the owner of the property, I think. So the sheriff will deliver to the owner and then we'll go from there, see how that deals with it. Do I hear a second?
Second.
A motion made, motion carried. Any new business?
I have one thing kind of want to bring up, back kind of with back to the animal control, animal inspector a little bit. As it happened, either sometimes DPW, police department may pick up some type of animal, either domestic or wildlife. And it gauges testing. We need some place to put it temporarily. So I was thinking some type of freezer box or something, like even like an old chest freezer, just to kind of preserve the
Carcass.
carcass for until the
Depends on what
inspectors.
size animal you have as to what you would get sized. freezer.
Yes, I'm kind of thinking of more of on a smaller scale, for more of like a
Yeah,
catch.
most what all the tests.
Cats
and
are
dogs.
on,
Something that would need to be tested. This box or I'm kinda thinking of like an old chest freezer. It doesn't have to work, you know, just get it from someone getting rid of a
Yeah.
freezer. And we could possibly put it on probably up the highway yard. And it would just be, just open it, put
Yep.
whatever needs to be put in it. It wouldn't be,
I would say you kinda wanna have something that's functioning, cause if
yeah,
it doesn't get picked up and you're in the direct heat in the latter part of the year, it may,
you could maybe put ice around it if need be, and,
mm,
and if it doesn't get picked up or taken care of within a day or so, or they decide not to do any further, then it would be just removed and taken care of. Or if it wasn't needed to be tested, found out that it didn't need to be tested. It's just something to come up, something I was thinking of.
I think it's kinda like a good idea.
Yeah, the highway garage would be a good location.
Yes.
There's something outside of it.
Anytime, you know, say the police department picks something up, the animal control officer picks something up that the animal inspector had to, when he was available,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
somewhere in the back of the highway barn. We could discuss it with the highway surveyor and get his input on it. And the animal inspector too. See what
Mhm.
Ryan thinks about the idea,
Yeah.
because they had to do a little digging to find the critter. And it would have been much easier, I think, if he would have just wrapped up in a bag
Yeah,
or
I'm pretty
something.
sure I know where there's a freezer that you can get to.
If you have something in mind.
I do. I do.
But like I say, I wouldn't be a working freezer. It's something that
Mhm.
is, I'm thinking of a chest freezer.
Mm.
You pull up the
Yep.
cover,
I would
a good
suggest,
seal on it. to
I would
keep-
suggest that the animal is placed in a heavy-duty bag prior to being
Yes.
put in there, so it
Yes,
doesn't have to.
yes, it would be definitely
Yeah.
wrapped up in a,
Yeah, so they're not be cleaned out all the time.
Yeah.
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 And that's another thing, getting type of bags.
16 mil bag would be good.
Yes, a very thick bag, and that would be something.
Kinda
that-
like the ones you use for leaves. Actually,
The bags would maybe be available at the highway barn or the PD, and then cruisers or whatever, if something needed to be
yeah,
picked
picked
up, or
up.
even covered up before someone could get.
Yep. No, I think that's a totally good idea. I will,
Because our animal control, you know, they might not be able to get there, even the highway, it's a little bit of a
Mhm.
wait, you know, even if the,
I would think we move forward ahead with that. I'll look into the freezer.
yeah.
Okay, any other new business?
I think that's all I have for now.
Old businesses. Any old business?
Mm. Not that I don't have anything.
Okay, no old business, you wanna take bills and payroll?
Yep, okay. I make a motion for the bills and payroll. Dan Thibodeau, monthly stipend for April, $150. James McKeon, monthly stipend, April, $150. Animal inspector Ryan Davis, $100. Cheryl Rudzinski, health agent nurse, January through March, $250. Barton Judas, monitoring invoice, $8,300. Barton Judas Engineering Services, $112.50. Burnett's Trash Removal for April 2025, $719.50. Solid Waste Solutions invoice, $2,350. Robert and Ludlow Printing business cards for Danielle DeBoat and Jessica Clark, $82. Plumbing inspector Chris Jones, completed inspections through March 20th, $750. WB Mason account, $1,137.92. It's waste management, lamp tracker, that's the battery buckets. We don't have one for that, right?
338, yeah.
Three,
It's kind of in the middle, I'm sorry. The invoice.
okay,
Three, no, no, right. 338 is
okay,
the total.
338. All right. Amazon business invoice for the standing desk, 114.74. Petty cash reimbursement, certified for stamps, $82.68. And that is the list. I make a motion for approval.
My second.
As seconded, and you approve to pay the bills. I did.
Okay. Approved minutes from 3:18, 4:1, and 4:2.
I have reviewed them,
Yep.
approved.
Next meeting will be scheduled for 5:20, which is the third Tuesday of May. There's no other comments or questions or concerns. Make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Motion made, motion carried. Meeting is adjourned.